It's a dark theater. We won't see you anyway. Welcome on this unseasonably warm day. Doesn't feel like Christmas, but it is Christmas nonetheless. Glad to see Ty here. We ran into Ty at the toy party last night. He said, "I'm going to be there tomorrow." I said, Don't tell me that, because people tell me they're going to be." He said, "No, I'm going to be there tomorrow." And I said, "All right." And he was. So he is here. And y'all know Jared Howard. It was what exactly does Jared do with that organization? He like organized that thing last night, right? The toy party. It's not just. I mean, they call it a gay charity. It's not really. I mean, it's yeah, but you have to bring a toy, like at least a $20 toy to get in. It's the most, and this year was the most toys I've ever seen. I've gone a couple of times. It's like Stone Mountain of toys, and I'm not taught. I'm not. I don't mean just you know wind up stuff. I'm talking that there must have been 300 bikes easily, and it of any charity event I've ever been a part of, it's the most tangible. It's not just some abstract check that you write somewhere you don't know where it goes. I mean, this is actual toys that are going to kids, and it's really, really cool. And they raise over $2,000 from the side, over $50,000. Jared's a real, yeah. And that's why he's not here on Sunday. He went right into explaining why he's not here. I let him do it. I said, "Why do you hate God? What did God ever?" but he's doing really good, and I was very, very proud of him. And that's where we saw Mr. Ty last night. Glad y'all are all here, and it is a beautiful day, is it not? I know there's a lot going on. A lot of people have issues. The guy couple that they've been together like 45 years, and I went to North Carolina and married them last year. Well, Dan passed away this morning, so I was just talking to Harold on the way over here, and they're wanting to do the funeral Wednesday night, and I said, "Well, that's our Christmas party. You have to move it up a little earlier in the day, so this is going to be a very full day." But anyway, just that's a part of life that I think a lot of people don't know. They, like a lot of straight people think one thing about gay people, and you think, "Wow, let me show you these guys." And I know several couples that have been together 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So, but anyway, he's with the Lord now, and just you got to cherish every day that you have with somebody and make the most of it, and don't take it for granted. Amen. I didn't mean to bring the room down. I brought you up, and then I brought you right down. It's like it's called life. What was that last when Doc Holliday's dying at the? Hey, y'all coming in? Scoot that up a little bit, please. Yeah, thanks. Yay! I loving you on the front row. I'm going to preach much better now. The sermon just got knocked up a notch. I just saw Jonah and Crosby come in. Good to see y'all. Look at y'all. Cute. What was I saying? Oh yeah, don't you remember when he's dying and Wyatt Earp comes to see him and he goes, "It's just life, Wyatt." That's the only Western that I like, and I've watched. I'll be your Huckleberry. It's such a great. And my favorite one is when why am I talking about this? When he says, "I don't think I'm going to let you kill me today." Like, oh, that's good. That's when you know you're in control. Always blessed to have Dr. Ralph Martin with us. If you're, I'm assuming you're all friends with him on Facebook, but it's worth it. Aside from just the regular kind of post, but he really just everything I can go ahead and put like on it even before I read it, because I know whatever you're about to say, I'm going to like it. Like I agree with it. What he posted today was really, really, really good. So, all right, we're in agreement. It's a beautiful day. Awesome energy in this place. High expectation. The spirit is vibrating over the submerged chaos, and we are moving up toward that higher word. We set our intention. As the scripture says, we declare the end from the beginning. We call those things which are not as though they are. Spirit of God, this is your day. have your way. Flow through us and in us and with us. Amen. Go ahead and run this. Please remain standing before we bring up our awesome guest of the day. I like this music. Good morning, buenos dias, bonjour, willkommen, welcome to Metron. Glad that you are here. Those of you that are streaming, welcome. Wherever you are in the universe, glad that you are here. I've got a good word for you today, and it's always good when our guest is with us that we have this month. Corey's not with him today because Marshall and Corey having us over this evening, and so she's home doing what you do when you have company. We had company last night, and by the time, when I say we clean, mostly Ken clean, but I did a lot of it, some of it, not as much as you did. And it's like I was saying a minute ago, it's not that you're living in filth, but when you have people coming over, then you clean stuff that you normally wouldn't clean. By the time they come over, you're like, I hope you're happy. I hope you look under the beds and check out the drawers because it's perfect. You happy now? And you know, it's nighttime. It's not like people are going to be seeing stuff anyway. You could have just lit a candle and turned the lights down and it'd been fine. But anyway, I'm assuming that's what she's doing. So, and she better, because we'll be inspecting everything, mister. I love this young man, and he's with us again today. Would you please welcome our friend Marshall Ruffin? Marshall.
Please sit down. I will enter his gate with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter his court with praise. And I will say, this is the day that the Lord has made. Oh, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, 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 he has made me shore with thanksgiving in my heart. I will look on those seas. I will have praise. And I will say that this is the day that my Lord has made. Yes, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. Yes, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, yes, he made me glad. Oh, he has made me glad. Oh, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Oh, I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. Okay, so I'm trying a bunch of new Christmas songs this month. Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. Stars in the sky, oh, lay down where he lay. Little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. Well, the cattle are lowing when the baby wakes, but a little Lord Jesus no crying he makes. Oh, I love you, yes, I love you, so look down from the sky, stand by my cradle from morning to night. Be near me, Lord Jesus, I ask you to stay close by me forever and love me, I pray. Bless all those dear children in your tender care, and take us to heaven ought to live with you there. So away in a manger, no crib for a bed. The little Lord Jesus laying down his sweet head.
That's all you got? All right. I was waiting for a third one. Me too. We'll do something else. I'm not through with you yet. It doesn't have to be Christmas. I like everything you do. Sing happy birthday to you, Arnold. Today is Jackie's birthday, so what would you like, Jackie? Do you have a
Happy birthday.
Do you have a Marshall request? Something you've done before?
Okay. That narrows it down. I wanted to try this one. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
I love when he says, I want to try this song. Then he sings this amazing, like, I don't think that's trying.
I wonder, as I wander out under the sky, how Jesus the Savior, He did come forth and die for all of God's people like you and like I wonder, as I wander out under the sky, when Mary birthed Jesus was in a stall, with wise men and fathers and shepherds and all. But high from God's heaven a star's light did fall, and the promise of ages it then did recall. If Jesus had wanted for any weak thing, a star in the sky, a bird on the wing, he could have had it, for he was the King. I wonder, as I wander under the sky, how Jesus the Savior did comfort and die for poor weak people like you and like I. Oh, I wonder, as I wander out under the sky, out under the sky, out under the sky.
Wow. Beautiful. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Beautiful. Yeah, keep trying, Marshall. One of these days, if you keep practicing. Hey, y'all. Yes, it is Jackie's birthday today. She's 24, 25. I don't remember. I didn't want to. So happy birthday to her. And Glad to see Margot and Stephen here today. Fro was supposed to have had surgery Friday, and there was a equipment glitch, so they postponed it. When you said postpone, I thought you meant yesterday, but it's actually tomorrow. So we're in agreement. Everything's and the good news is it's the doctor that they wanted, right? It's the because there was some technicality they weren't going to be able to use him, but because you took him to the emergency room, it worked out. So look at God. So that's good, and we're in total agreement that he's going to get fixed and everything's going to be just fine. Amen. 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 All right, we speak into this atmosphere and we say, "Let there be light." Amen. You may be seated. Oh, I got to. You can see it. look how attentive you are. You all froze. Like, what? Are we sitting? Are we standing? That's good. I like it. Stand up. Simon says. No, I need to say, got a real nice message from Pastor Piazza last night, thanking us for the support this month, and we're gonna have dinner with them soon, so that's great. And we've had to bump up the number of people signed up for the party, so this is gonna be the event of the year. It's gonna be really, really cool, and so that's really good. And a couple of you who you know who you are who contributed, helped us keep the ticket price. Let's just say you're getting a lot of bang for the buck because some people contributed. So you're still ain't getting in free. Don't be saying, well, somebody paid for mine. No, they didn't. It just means you don't have to pay as much as you would have. So it's going to be great. And that's what I needed to announce. But again, thank you. Thank you, Marshall. Yes, Avery. The reservation is closed tonight at midnight. So we're like, you can't, we're not universalist Jesus. We're like, that's it. You cannot get in. That's right. Past the age of accountability. It was cool. Last week we went over to Jeremy Lopez's house in Alabama, and he said, "Tell me about Metron." He said, "We've been streaming Metron. It's so cool. You have this guy with a long beard singing." He said, "It's like all of our friends want to drive over there." I said, "Hip church. What can I tell you?" All right, now we speak in the atmosphere and we say, "Let there be light." Good word last week, and I'm not complimenting myself. I'm saying good word in that. No, but I think it's a core. When I say good word, I mean you're largely responsible for that because, and I'm sure Doc would agree with me on this. It's the audience that pulls out of you what you have. John says you have no need that any man should teach you. I'm not. The word educate means to draw out. I'm not really imparting information to you. If I have a gift at all, it's to help locate in you what you already have that you forgot you had. That's why it feels familiar. Even if you hear something that doesn't sound like what you heard in church before, you think something in my spirit feels like that's right. It's because you already did know it. John said, "Let that abide in you which you heard from the beginning." And I believe when he said that, he was saying the beginning in creation. We all came out of God. We heard that. We're not trying to get to heaven. We're from heaven, and we're trying to recover like the prodigal son. Remember who you are. And it says the prodigal came to himself. Remember, he came to himself. "I will rise and go to my father." So that's what we're doing. We're coming to ourselves. This month, I'm really concentrating on that famous passage, mostly Luke 2:14, and I'm going to show it to you from. These are a couple of translations I've never used before, but language is so interesting to me. The traditional interpretation is, and the angel said, "Peace on earth, goodwill to men." And I'm not saying that's not true, or better translated, goodwill to people, because certainly God's will to us is good. But let me show you what a couple of these other translations say. This is the complete Jewish Bible, and this is how it says, beginning in verse 8. It says, "In the countryside nearby were some shepherds spending the night in the fields, guarding their flocks, when an angel of Adonai appeared to them, and the Shekinah, that's a Hebrew word. It was like the manifested glory of God, like when there actually was an aura that would come around. Remember, it says the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and that's why when traditional Christians say that it's new agey to look at auras, they need to go back and read the Bible, because the Bible's full of all of that. And when people saw lights around, remember it says the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And that's what Shekinah is. It's when the manifested presence of God takes on physicality, and you actually it becomes visible. And the Shekinah of Adonai shone around them. They were terrified, but the angel said to them, "Don't be afraid, because I am here announcing to you good news." I think it's interesting that in the Jewish Bible it capitalized good news that will bring great joy to all the people. But here's where it varies a little bit. It says, "This very day in the town of David there was born for you a deliverer, who is the Messiah, the Lord. Here is how you will know. You will find a baby wrapped in cloth and lying in a feeding trough." Suddenly, along with the angel, was a vast army from heaven, praising God. In the highest heaven, glory to God, and on earth, peace among people of goodwill. Now, that's a little bit different take on this. And that's what I want to talk about. The late, great Wayne Dyer was famous for talking about the power of intention. And really, intention is will. That's what he's saying. You have the life that you will to have. You have, in Bible days, we called it faith, but it's the same thing. It's the substance of things not seen. So the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. And so we're talking this month about what does it mean, especially in this turbulent world where talking about peace on earth nearly seems ironic. Like I'm watching the news the other day, and not only the news, but my neighborhood. There was the other night I'm watching the news, and there's a guy shot and killed in front of a building, and I'm looking at the building like, that looks familiar. Oh, because that's my building, and it was right on it was some guy running from the cops. One night this week, we're coming home. I should be telling you this. You will drive down here, but this happens anywhere. I mean, some woman in Covington got run over by a guy in Walmart parking lot. So the only safe place is the secret place of the Most High. But we're coming up Ponce, about to turn to go home, and right in front of the Fox Theater, there's like 20 cop cars, and the cops are chasing this guy down the street, and they're drawing guns. Ken's ducking down in the seat, like he said, "I hope they don't start shooting." I said, "Dear God." And meanwhile, the Peace on Earth, Goodwill to Win is blasting on the radio, because we listen to, it's ironic. It's like yesterday, we went Cow Tippers and sat outside. We're wearing shorts, eating out on the patio, having a salad. It feels like summer. And they're singing, "Oh, the weather outside is frightful." I'm like, no, it's not. Well, that's what, the cops are chasing this guy, and, we're expecting gunfire, and, the radio is going, "Let there be peace on earth." And it's like this really bizarre moment where you're like, this is ironic. The Prince of Peace came 2,000 years ago, and there's less peace now than there ever has been. And that's all the more reason why we need a little Christmas. Do you know what I mean? It's like that idealistic, childlike part of you, whether it's Santa Claus or virgin birth or the Grinch or whatever, that's what this season is ideally about. It's a time when we suspend logic and play to our better angels and believe, instead of becoming cynical and say there is no peace on earth. And that's kind of what Charles put a link of Marshall singing that last week. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, and it's amazingly apropos for right now, because that's what that song's about. It's like, I heard, there is no peace on earth. All the more reason why we have to come here on Sundays, and we have to keep saying what we're saying, and we have to keep posting good stuff on social media, and keep hope alive, and not be sucked into the negative vortex of just saying, I'm going to live in fear. I refuse to live in fear. Next week we're going to New York, and we're going to go to the new Freedom Tower, because we want to go up in it. And Judah already went up this week, so he was my guinea pig. Like, you were cool up there, and so I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to not live in the city because stuff goes down in this. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to be stupid. I'm going to put my seatbelt on and lock my door at night and do it. But after that, I'm not going to live in fear. And part is, and you can call this naive if you want, but in Psalm 91, he says, 1,000 will fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. And that's what I believe. I have to say, you can live whatever life you want to live, but I have willed good into my life. And so I believe good is coming to me. And even if it comes initially disguised as bad, it's still going to come. It's going to be revealed to me as good. And this is something I have learned in the last couple of years, that I don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So I don't think of anything being negative coming into my life. If it appears negative, it's just not finished yet. If you remodel your house and knock out a wall or whatever, it's going to look horrible before it looks good. It doesn't get to be pretty and then pretty. It's like it's got to be ugly and then pretty. If you want a baby, I don't care how good your pregnancy and labor is, there's going to be some ugliness and some pain and some mess somewhere. You can have an epidural, you can have whatever. It's still something's gonna hurt. I mean, if you didn't know the concept of childbirth and you'd never heard of it before, and you walked by this room where this woman is in a bed and she's screaming and people around her saying push, push, and there's blood, you'd be like, whatever's going on in that room is not good. But it is good. It's just it has to go through that before the good appears. And so everything ultimately will be good. You could say, well, that's naive. Fine. Believe that if you want to. I'm telling you, from my life, I don't care who gets elected next year. I don't care what ISIS does. I don't care what happens with the economy. I don't care who says what. Y'all can all live bad lives if you want to. And I'm saying, I don't mean y'all. I mean, I'm saying it out in the universe. But I can tell you, as for me and my house, it's going to be good because I choose peace on earth. I choose a mentality of peace. I choose an attitude of peace. If you're going to mess with the peace in my life, may not eliminate you, but I'm going to manage you. I'm going to know that I'm going to have to keep you at some distance. Do you know what I mean? There's some people, when you see their number come up on your phone, you're like, oh, crap, because it usually is not good. Like I noticed among my thousands of Facebook friends, there are certain people kind of know what to expect on any comment they're going to make. Like there's some people that everything they say is going to be sarcastic, or there's some people everything they say is going to be supportive, or everything they say is going to be funny, because that's how they are, and it's fine. Celebrate everybody's differences. But there's some people, I think, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about like what you would post, because that's your mentality. That's fine. But I'm posting good stuff. I'm not looking for a fight. I have debated and won debates for years. I don't want to fight with you. I want to be at peace. That's why I appreciate what Doc posted today about what was it? 3 things. It was giving up the need to be right, having the need to have an opinion, the need to be right. And the third one was what? The need to control. Yes, that's good stuff. And once you have passed those points of demarcation, you're like Jesus, Satan has come to me, but he has nothing in me. It's like, I'm not going to fight with you. Whatever you believe, I'm not telling you to change your belief system. That's what, when people come to you like, I'm not going to believe what you believe. I'm like, fine. I never asked for you to, I mean, if you come listen to me while I'm holding a microphone, I'm going to say some stuff I believe, but I'm not demanding that you believe it. I don't assume, well, y'all probably do, but I'm pretty sure at this point, y'all are pretty much on the page with me. I would think the filtering system has brought it down to, nah, we're good. We're in agreement. You don't have to convince. But there was a time, I know what that's like, especially when I had a very large congregation. You have no idea some of the stuff you used to see. Like I would say some things, and there would be people who would literally go, or people that I knew had issues with me. I'd say something and they'd lean over and start talking to the person next to them, and I think, Really? You're doing it while I'm standing here? Really? And but it's all good because I'm like, namaste, go with God. I want to help people. I don't people say, don't you want to convert people? Not anymore. I used to. I used to stand on this sidewalk out here and preach to people and pass out tracts. I don't do that now. Now I'm like, I want to help people. If I've got something good for you, fine. We were talking to Ty about this last night. I don't think he would mind. He has had an issue with I'll just say a family member who he had to kind of explain the reality of his life. Basically, some of you have been through this before, but to say, look, this is my reality, and you're either going to be good with it, or I'm not going to be in your life. I'm not going to fight with you, but I'm not going to whatever. And I say, good for you. I'm proud of you, because you have to, you can't be pulled into somebody else's control issue. I don't care who they are. I'm talking parents, grandparents, mentors, whatever. Nobody gets to control anybody. And if you feel like somebody is pushing your buttons and manipulation, and I'm not preaching right now, I'm prophesying this because somebody by the Spirit is pulling this out of me. But if somebody is manipulating you, you got to cut that thing loose. You have the sword of the Lord to cut those marionette strings off of you. Pinocchio wants to be a real boy. Okay? So walk into your reality. That wasn't for everybody. That was for somebody, and you know who you are. All right. Now, let me show you the second witness. This is from the J.B. Phillips translation. I love Phillips. Came out mid-century, last century. But this is verse 14. It says, "And in a flash there appeared with the angel a vast host of the armies of heaven, praising God, saying, 'Glory to God in the highest heaven, peace upon earth among men of goodwill.'" Now, this is what I'm seeing from the way this is interpreted. The people who want peace have to will it. Peace has to be your intention. Blessed are the peacemakers, not the peacekeepers. Peacekeeping is a different thing. Peacemaking is, I am going to use the power of intention in my life. There can be chaos all around me, but by God, I'm not living in it. And at a certain point, after you've had enough drama, whatever it is, you're like, look, I'll be single for the rest of my life. I'll be alone. I'll be without friends. If that's what it comes to for me to have peace, I will make the peace by the power of my intention. I will have peace on this earth. I'm not going to wait. It's not helping me to say, this life be over soon, heaven last always. No, I'm living here now. It's peace on earth, not peace in heaven. That was a line from Color Purple, in case you didn't. Girl, you better bash your mistress' head and think about heaven later. This life be over soon, heaven last always. It's peace on earth. The announcement, this is the gospel in microcosm, not if you died tonight, where would you spend eternity? The announcement is peace on earth, peace in Atlanta, peace in Conyers, peace in Covington, peace in Decatur, peace in Smyrna, peace in you, peace in your mind, peace in your thoughts, peace in your dreams, peace in your sleep, peace in your heart, peace in your emotions, peace in your body. Because if you don't keep it, the word disease, you break it up in 2 syllables, it's dis-ease. And when the peace is broken in your mind, in your spirit, it's going to manifest somewhere in your body. I'm just telling you. I know my body and spirit are so connected. If I have strife with somebody, especially somebody that I'm emotionally connected to, I feel it immediately. Like, if sort of harsh words are spoken, I'm like, oh, God, I feel my glands swelling. It's like I can't afford. I'm too integrated. Do you know what I mean? My spirit, soul, and body are very in sync with one another. They're not divided. And I know Hebrews 4:12, the sword of the Lord divides soul and spirit. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my intention is like it all moves together. Like I feel spiritual things in my physical body. There's not a disconnect. And because of that, I have to make peace. I have to say, I will use the power of my intention, my goodwill, not only to have peace, but I can tell you this: if you're connected with me, you'll feel peace. Do you know what I mean? Like I walk into hospitals all the time. People say, "Oh, I feel better just now, just because you got here." Well, because I came in bringing peace. I'm a peacemaker, and everybody has that capacity to say, you know, I'm not saying run from a fight if you're being um, manipulated or bullied, or so. If you need to speak up for yourself, I'm not telling you to be somebody's stepping stone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying say it in a way. Well, again, like Ty was saying last night, he wasn't saying it harshly to somebody. He was just saying, this is my reality. And if you can accept this reality, then we'll all be together and we'll have a good Christmas and it's no problem. If you can't, then you won't be a part of my Christmas. And it's fine. Guess what? Christmas will be just fine without you. That's when you know you're really free. Like, what are we going to do without each other? Have a better Christmas. You'll be sitting there eating your pumpkin pie going, wow, this is going down so easy. Usually by this time in the meal, I've got serious acid reflux. But for some reason, I think I'll have another piece of pie. This is great. And again, you are the steward over your life. You have to protect your boundaries. Just like you would protect your house, you got to protect your spirit. Just like if somebody came up to you and said, I have a highly contagious, incurable disease. How about a kiss? It would be your responsibility to say, I'd rather not. Love you, but don't want to get your stuff. Well, if you're that way physically, how much more should you be that way spiritually and emotionally? And if somebody's going to spew their toxic stuff, it's up to you to say, you know, I love you, but I can't do that. This is a stress-free zone. And I'm telling you, whatever you got to do in your house, if you got to light some candles and put something up on the wall to remind you of whatever, when you go home, and people make fun of feng shui stuff, I don't think it's silly. I think whatever you need to do to make your environment as peaceful and serene and what makes you happy, what gives you peace. I have stuff on my wall that makes me happy to look at. I don't ask if you like it or not. Somebody says, well, I wouldn't have a yellow bathroom. Well, you don't have a yellow bathroom. I love my yellow bathroom. It's beautiful in the morning. It's like, yellow is the color of optimism. I wouldn't paint my bathroom that. Then don't. I have no opinion about the color of your bathroom, but mine is fabulous. and I wasn't saying that for you, Roz. You know. Roz said when I posted pictures, said, I love your bathroom, but I'd never have mine yellow. I said, Roz giveth and Roz taketh away. I love it, but I said, you don't have to use it. And I don't mean that ugly. I'm saying whatever you do, you got to create your environment to make your peace. Like if even something as like I don't really do iTunes because I've got like a jukebox that came on my car that kind of works the same way. But even the songs that make you happy, the songs that make you feel good, that's your responsibility to create that for yourself. Like if that's going to make you more optimistic about your day and cause you to be more proactive, then good. If it's not my taste in music, fine. It cracks me up. We'll be riding along in the car and some rap song, some new song come on. Ken knows every word to it. I'm like, how do you know these words? I'm listening to, I don't listen to anything past 1979. He's like, oh, it's on my iTunes. I'm like, you young bucks. That's what I guess I'm technically a cougar. I'm only 4 years older than him, but it's like he knows. Like the artists that I kind of know who they are, but I wouldn't know their songs. So I gotta step up my game. But I'm like, you know what? He's got a long drive to work every day, and if that's part of him creating his environment that makes you happy, listen, I get it. And you say, well, what's that got to do with peace on earth, good to people of goodwill? It's because every word you say, every thought you think, every emotion you embrace is setting an intention. It's setting a will that is going to determine the level of peace that you have. This is not a fluke that this angel makes this connection between peace and goodwill. Peace doesn't just happen. I mean, I will tell you this, as much as there's a pacifist part of me, I also respect that we have had to fight for peace before. I don't believe that all war is unnecessary. I mean, you could argue if it hadn't been for war, Nazism would have taken over Europe. A war technically ended the Civil War. So as much as I hate it, I think, well, sometimes it's a necessary, for lack of a better term, evil to get to peace. But in other words, peace isn't just automatic. You have to make it. And if that's true in world affairs, that's equally true in your own internal world. I've got one more translation here. This is the Orthodox Jewish Bible, which is a little bit different, but it says the same thing. These are Hebrew words, kavod to Hashem in the highest, and on Haaretz Shalom, that's peace, among B'nai Adam, Kavanah Tovah. If I've mispronounced it, please excuse me. But it's saying the children of Adam is what it's saying. But specifically it says the people of good intention. I thought that was interesting that the word intention was translated from the Hebrew there. Because usually we know this, the New Testament was written in Greek, but here in the Hebrew we have a shade of meaning that this isn't just talking about the goodwill of God toward humanity. This is saying this Messiah that's come is leading the way. He's showing you how to live. He's showing you how to live a kingdom life. I mean, whatever you believe about Jesus, whether you believe he's the way to God or not, you can't deny that he was an amazing example of how you don't let people get next to you. And when you do, when I say next to you, I mean get inside your head. And when you do, you deal with it and then you move on. I mean, he did have an emotional outburst with the money changers and chase him out of the temple, but he wasn't just in that mode all the time. He felt every emotion that we feel, but he didn't seem to have this agenda all the time. Like people who were not part of Abraham's seed would come to him, and he never talked about converting him. Yes, I'll come heal your daughter. Yes, and it was nearly always somebody who was not part of his, his spiritual lineage. But he's like, yeah, sure, I mean, to the point that people took issue with it. And what I really love about him, this is when, if you don't believe he's the Son of God, you have to at least admit he's an ascended master. Because when he said, not only Satan is coming to me, but there's nothing in me, but he rebukes the Pharisees. He calls them things like, you have your father, the devil, snakes, vipers, whitewashed sepulchres full of dead men's bones. But in the same breath, he says, and the kingdom of God is within you. Wow. When you get to that place, that's why I wrote the other day about not getting pulled into negative, like Twitter wars with people and stuff, because it's not worth it. And I said, I'm not saying they're not worth it, because that's not true. I believe everybody's worth it. It's that it's not worth it. And to be able to say to somebody, look, I see your value. I'm not dismissing you as a person. I'm just saying I don't want to engage in this. I don't want to get on that frequency and live in that headspace that you're in. That's fine if you want. I can tell. I know people, and people I'm friends with on Facebook, that they like a fight. I mean, like every post is baiting somebody. If that's what they're into, that's fine. That just stresses me out. That makes me have to take my blood pressure medicine. And it's not that I don't think my points are valid. It's just like, I said my thing on my page. If you either like it or move on. I didn't say, what sayest thou? I'm not saying that. I'm saying to the people, I'm not asking for it. I'm not Morton Downey Jr. or one of these, the premise of our show today is, I'm like, that's not what I'm doing. This isn't a blog. This is my personal space of people that I feel some connection with, and I feel like I want to say this. And if you don't agree with it, there's 1,000 things you post on your sorry page that I don't agree with, and I would never even take the time to point out to you that you're wrong, because then what happens, now I've said my thing, and every time my phone buzzes, I'm like, oh shoot, now we're in a thing. I don't have time for that. I want to go to the movies. I don't need to be right. Exactly. You know, there's a point. Um, some guy left me a. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on my book this week, but somebody left me a voicemail. I don't know how they did it on Facebook. They left me a voicemail message, and he said, "I just want you to know, I just got your book. I read it in a day and a half. I couldn't put it down." He said, "I can't say that I agree with everything theologically." I'm like, "Oh, really? I've never heard that 10 million times." But fine, he had to say his thing. Okay. But he said, "No, I'm really impressed with your ministry." And it was just, it was good. I said, "Thanks. I don't care if you don't agree with the 1975 version of me wouldn't have agreed with the 2015 version of me either. So I understand that. 30 years ago, I'd be in front of this uh, theater telling you not to come and listen to this guy. This guy's new age. Now I don't see that as a. That's one thing you helped me got set free on. People called Dr. Martin new age, and he said, "Yeah, I am. And let me tell you why." I'm like, "Ooh, look at that. He's not defensive." Somebody called me a new thought teacher. I was like, "I am not new thought." And I went and Googled it and said, "Oh, I guess I am." But then I thought, why do I think that that's a negative thing? Because, you're like, "Oh, that's not Christianity." Why is that not compatible with the message of Jesus? It might not be the message of First Church of the whatever, but the Jesus I read about, at least last I checked with him, he was totally cool with everything I teach. And if there's something he doesn't like that I teach, I feel a little nudge that says, "Yeah, you've belabored that point enough. Move it back, move it back over here." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'm led by the Spirit. We don't have to fight. And whatever you believe, I'm good with it." All right. So these are three. Not all the translations say that. Most of them say goodwill to men, but I love that these aren't the only three, but I started finding a lot of them that said goodwill to peace on earth to men of goodwill, which that's a very interesting point that I believe I have made. The defense rests. All right. This is by this person. I like this. It says small scale appreciation and its vibration raising magic are always available. And while the physical mind can easily get carried away thinking that appreciation requires us to convert an entire horrific experience into butterflies and smiley faces, it doesn't need to be so grandiose. I like this quote. When you decide to appreciate something, no matter how subtle, you absolutely do pivot and shift your vibration significantly. Let me tell you why that's important in the idea of goodwill. I am willing good into my life. Yeah, there's been things that have happened to all of us that if I weren't preaching right now, I'd say they suck. I mean, that would be inappropriate to say it. That's why I say they stink. But do you know what I mean? Like it's, we're not saying that everything was great. You know what I mean? Like there are women that I've heard say they love to be pregnant. That's very few women that have said that. They love having babies and they were willing to go through the pregnancy, but just pregnancy for pregnancy's sake, there aren't many. Look at some of your faces. You're like, not me. Well, so you're not saying that there wasn't stuff you had to go through. That's what I want people to understand about the idea of regret. When I say no regrets, no regrets doesn't mean that you're insensitive to good things that have, like I love everything that I ever did at Church of the Now. I have no regrets about it, whatever. And I can't honestly say that there aren't sometimes if I drive down I-20 and I see depending on the frame of mind I'm in, yeah, there's some days it's like, oh, wow, I could feel any number of things. Some days I might feel proud of it. Some days I might feel sad, whatever. That doesn't mean I don't love where I'm at now. It just means that that's a realistic part of my life. And I go, yeah, well, we went through some stuff and, there it is. And thank God I'm still alive and well and have some credibility and people still, embrace my ministry. But that doesn't mean there wasn't some stuff that hurt. And that's, to me, living a life of goodwill and good intention is not denial over negative stuff. I don't believe in that. I believe sometimes you got to feel what you feel. That's why I posted that thing the other day out of Proverbs where it says, give wine to him who is of a heavy heart. I love that because he's saying, don't try to make somebody feel better. You're going through a divorce. It hurts. There's not a lot you can say about it. It's like, well, it'll get better, and a part of it will hurt for a long time, and you learn how to manage it. Um, there's this, I can't recommend this movie for everybody, but I watched this movie the other day on Netflix. I tried to see it with the kids the other night. We got the wrong night. Did you, Joe, did you ever see The Babadook? It's a trip, isn't it? It's a horror movie, but it's really a psychological drama, and it's about this woman who uh, she's en route to she's in labor going to the hospital, and they have a car wreck and the husband dies. So it starts the story when the kid's about 7 years old, and so he's really acting out. I mean, it's this kid's got serious, understandably serious problems. So he's obsessed with monsters and stuff, and she's reading in this book one night, and there's this scary story about this thing called the. I hope this is, if any of you are kids, this is totally make believe. Don't be scared. Why? And y'all, this is not for kids to see this, but I'm saying she reads this story about the Baba that comes in and like he says, let me in, and he knocks on, and well, the kid freaks out about it, and so he's every night he's out there having to check under the bed and in the closets, whatever, and then he's like he's kind of spirals out of control. The horror part of the movie is it come to find out the monster is real and actually does live in the cellar, and they have to, but the point of it, what they're saying is this horrible thing happened to this family, and you can't pretend like it didn't happen, but they learned how to deal with it. And you have to know how to interpret this movie. Like it shows them, he's gotten through all of his crazy stuff at the end. Apparently the Babadook eats earthworms, so they get a bowl of them. I know you're like, where are you going with this? No, there's a point. They shove the bowl, and you see this hand come out, and it takes it, and it lives in the cellar. And then they go out in the backyard and they're playing, and it actually is kind of a hopeful message, because what they're saying is you can't predict it's not really a monster movie. The monster represents this horrible thing that happened to them that you can't pretend didn't happen. It is there, but it didn't stop their life. And I thought, that's, if you know how to interpret this movie, that's actually a very life affirming message, because what it's saying is we've all got something that lives under the bed. Do you know what I mean? Something in the closet. And again, kids, I'm speaking, y'all are sophisticated. Y'all know, I don't want y'all to go out here going, Bishop said there's a monster under my bed. That's not what I said. All of you under 12, please, you do understand. Man, we got so many kids in there. I got to start kids' church. But it was symbolic. There was, the horror was they learned how to manage. It's like some of you that have lost, like I hear people, and really Ken has said this about his mom. I watched the Dolly Parton movie this week, Coat of Many Colors, which is filmed in Covington. It was all right. But what I did like about it, at the end of it, she said, she sang and she dedicated to her mother, who apparently died years ago. She says, Mama, there's not a day that passes that I don't think about you. And I thought, well, that's realistic. If you've lost a loved one, you probably do think about them a little bit every day, but it doesn't, you did learn how to manage call it grief or whatever. You learned to put it somewhere. And yeah, there's times probably at Christmas that for a moment, you feel melancholia, like, oh, I'm really missed them, whatever. Don't try not to feel that. But at the same time, intend to say, well, at least I had a mama. At least, you know what I mean? Some people didn't even have that. So you automatically train yourself to feel the feeling and then come up with the proactive thought to know how to manage it. And I know that was a weird reference to the horror movie, but I think you understand the point. The point was, you can't pretend like a horrible thing didn't happen. But it doesn't, they learn to coexist with it. And I think that's actually very realistic. If we believe in the power of intention, we're not just skipping through life going, la, 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 nothing bad ever happens. No, we live in the real world. But that's what I like about this quote. She says, it's just minor appreciations. This is where I'm at in my life. And some of this, I think, comes from, aging and, every Christmas seems to come faster and faster and faster. So instead of griping about it, you have to say, well, it's here again, and I'm going to enjoy it and celebrate it and try to see it through kids' eyes. I've got granddaughters now, so let me, I don't want to take away their excitement and wonder about it. Because, man, I remember when I was a kid, sweet Lord, Christmas. Don't you remember when you were like, it is 72 days until Christmas? And oh, Lord. And I still love Christmas, but you don't feel it like you did when you were a kid. So if you've got any something of, that's why this year I watched Charlie Brown Christmas. I watched the original Grinch. And when I'm watching them, I don't know how people who were born after those things came out, but they came out in a part of my childhood experience. So it's my inner child watching that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think as an adult, I probably wouldn't enjoy Charlie Brown Christmas, but as in my head, when it's 1968 and I'm 10 years old, it's really cool. And so I'd like to tap into that. That gives me a feeling of euphoria. And that doesn't mean that all of my childhood was all that great. I look back now and I'm editing a lot of it in my head to go, well, let's go to the good parts. It's Charlie Brown Christmas. That was a good part. Let's watch it again, shall we? Y'all look so sad when I say that. Oh, Bishop. No, I turned out okay. Don't feel sorry for me. Don't cry for me, Argentina. All right. Dr. Dyer said this, how people treat you is their karma. How you react is yours. You're welcome. And what that means is yeah, there are things I could say or do to retaliate that I would be justified in doing. But because I'm a person of goodwill and because I embrace this idea of peace on earth, and if nothing else, let Christmas be that reminder to me, that this is about peace on earth. And both things are true, goodwill to people and peace on earth to people of goodwill, but they are not mutually exclusive ideas. So what that means to me is you got to do the right thing whether anybody else does or not. I don't remember the exact reference, but there's a scripture in Proverbs that talks about not getting vengeance on somebody that might deserve it, because it says, then the Lord will see what you did and turn his anger from them to you. And what it's saying is yeah, they were in the wrong, but now the way you've reacted to it is so much worse than what they did. Now you've brought the bad karma on yourself. So that's why, again, I'm not saying you to be anybody's punching bag, but what does the scripture say? A soft answer turns away wrath. Agree with your adversary quickly when you're in the way with him. Now abides faith, hope, and love, these three, but the greatest of these are love. Now I show you a more excellent way. I mean, all of these things are not about you being victimized, but if anything, setting yourself free, declaring your independence from victimization. I'm not going to respond to you, not because I'm afraid of you, not because I don't have a better point. I don't have to. I don't have to explain myself to you. I don't have to be justified to you, because I don't care what you think. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean it like, I don't care what you think. That's not what I'm saying. It's like, I don't care what you think anymore. I did for a long time, probably, but I don't now. I spent too much time caring what you think. And it's not that what you think doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. And, every time you cut another one of those soul ties that you've had with somebody, the freer you become. And then you could just remember the good parts. Look, I have learned and accepted this lesson. Not everybody in your life is going to be with you forever. And that's just life. And the sooner you make peace with that, the happier you're going to be. And, from the 70s, we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. Oh, you post-70s people are like, what you talking about? But what that's saying is like, you know what? We had what we had, and it was great, and I'm glad we had that. Well, Bishop, my divorce really hurt. Well, did you have any joy in your marriage? Yeah. Did you have some kids that you like? Yeah. Well, then guess what? You got some good stuff out of your marriage. Be happy for that. I mean, uh, I was married to Jonah's mom a lot longer, but with Jared and Christina's mom, we had a rocky road. We definitely did. And now when we talk, we don't see each other a lot, but when we talk, we're like, you know what? No regrets. Look at these awesome kids we had together and these grandkids that we share. So good. Glad we glad that happened. No regrets whatsoever. And man, you'll be so much happier. You'll sleep so much better at night. It doesn't mean you're not probably not hip enough to be good buddies with an ex-spouse, but um, uh, Ken Ken shares a granddaughter with his ex-wife. I don't take that away from them. That's that. I understand what that's like. That connection you have with somebody that's a part of both of you that's in that grandbaby. Fine, I get that. I have that with one of my ex-wives. I will have it eventually. I'm assuming with Debbie. I don't. I asked the kids Thanksgiving. I said, "Is this all the grandkids I'm going to have, or is there any more?" And Jonah said, "Well, it's nothing I'm working on at the moment." I said, "Okay, just checking. If that's all it is, there's two spectacular little granddaughters. That's fine. I just didn't know. Do I need to keep that door open? No pressure. No pressure. Just asking." But anything good that came out of any experience that you got, you know, before they started doing LASIK, uh, they would do this radial keratotomy where they actually cut the eyeball and it would improve vision. You know where it came from? A guy in Russia had a car accident. His face went through the windshield. The glass cut his eye, and he saw better. And they were like, "How is this possible?" And that's how they learned you could change the shape of I guess, the lens or whatever through an incision, and that which eventually led to uh, LASIK. But it came from, usually you don't think about somebody's head going through a windshield as being a particularly positive thing. Do you know where the ice cream cone came from? At the I don't remember what year it was. It was whatever World's Fair was the first year that they had refrigeration, and uh, this new advent. This guy could sell ice cream. Well, it was selling like you can imagine, because people had never been able to go out and buy. Without refrigeration, you couldn't sell ice cream. So this vendor is just making. I mean, he can't keep up with the demand. People are lined up for a mile wanting this ice cream, and the guy next to him is selling waffles. Well, nobody's buying waffles, because you can get ice cream. It's summertime. Nobody wants a waffle. So the ice cream guy's doing so well that he says to the waffle guy, he said, "Look, I feel bad that I feel like I've taken away all your business." He said, "I've got so much extra and I've made so much money. Why not? I'll give you some of my ice cream and you sell it. Maybe you can recoup some of your losses." So the guy said, "Okay, thank you." So that night, he's looking at his waffle batter and he's looking at the ice cream, thinking, "What can I do to make this work?" So he takes the waffle batter and rolls it out and makes it thin and bakes it to where it's crispy, and he rolls it up in a cone shape and he goes, "Oh, look at this. I can take a scoop of the ice cream and put it on this rolled up waffle, and then people don't need a spoon, or I can save myself the cost of cups." Well, it was the invention of the ice cream cone, and the next day everybody, who wants ice cream without a cone? So now everybody's lined up for the ice cream guy with the. Now you wouldn't think that was a positive thing, but something positive came out of something that appeared to be negative. That's how you stay on that track. I will live in peace on earth because I am a person of goodwill. I'm a person of good intention. Next up, that's good stuff, isn't it? Don't shout me down just because I'm preaching good. I like this quote. Uh, and I thought about this for a long time. I thought, is that true? And I really think it is true. Love does not obey our expectations, it obeys our intentions. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. I really had to meditate on that for a while. What does that mean? Um, is love responding to what I say, or is it responding to something even deeper? Is there something, am I getting out of people is there like an invisible connection that I have with people that I'm I'm bringing stuff out of them. I will tell you this, if the same thing keeps happening with you in relationships, you might want to look into what is the common denominator. If the exact same thing happens over and over again, if you have 5 jobs in a row and every job they fire you and say, the same thing, you might want to pay attention every year. Like if the teachers ever had I hated the parent teacher conference. And I used to walk in and go, let me guess. Does Jimmy not apply himself? Does he talk too much in class? Yeah, I've heard that before. I didn't say that, but I was thinking, wait for it, wait for it. He's so intelligent. If he just would apply himself, and I want to go, it's because you're so stinking boring that I cannot pay attention. This is pre-Ritalin. I can't, there's no way I can get my head around the boring monotone. I just can't do it. I hate to put this on you, but it really is you. And the reason I know, when I finally got teachers that really did make me think and understand, I was like, thank you. Jimmy will now apply himself. I never made the dean's list or the National Honor Society, but I kept my integrity. It was a joke. What I'm saying is, if I heard that from every teacher, then guess what? It probably was me. If you like, when I think, and many of us have been divorced and remarried, so no judgment. But when you think about people like Elizabeth Taylor or Zsa Zsa Gabor or Mickey Rooney, who were married 8 times, you can't help but think when you're number 8, if you're number 2, okay, even if you're number 3, even if you're number 4, I'll even give you number 4. When you get to number 5, like if somebody says, I've been divorced 4 times, you might want to just not rush right into, I'm not saying it was all their fault, but it might be a little bit. When it's the 7th, right? Please don't write me if you're like, Bishop, I've been married 7 times. And I don't know. Don't tell me that. I don't need to know that. But I'm just saying, I'm thinking after 5, maybe you should live together for a minute. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking marriage may not be for you. Maybe it is you. And it's actually, like, I can look back now at well, I'll tell you, I did a funeral for somebody about a year and a half ago, somebody that used to go to church with me now years and years ago. And I'd gone to see, because they never had a pastor after me. There's a whole generation of people out there who say, I don't go to church anywhere, but I couldn't go to church anywhere after Church of the Now. So you're still my default pastor. So I spend a lot of time on people, who don't come to Metro and certainly don't contribute financially, but I'm there for them. And I do it because, well, we had history together. Okay, fine. So I did this funeral. And so there were a lot of people there that used to go to church. Now, some of them I remembered. These are people that would have left like in the early 90s. And let me tell you, a lot's happened in my life since then. So when I see, like even last night at the toy party, somebody came up that used to go to church, and she just puts her face right in my face. And I'm like, I don't know. And she said her name. I said, oh, wow. I would have never known you since I haven't seen you in 25 years, but good to see you. And so at the end of the burial, you go down the line under the, from all the funerals we've done, you remember, you're under the tent, and you go down and you shake hands with all the people in the front row there, the family. And so I'm like, so sorry for your loss, so sorry for your loss. Go through. And I was hugging some of them, and I reached out and hugged this one lady, and she said, well, finally I got a hug from you. I went to your church for 5 years and never got that. And it was like, sorry, there was a lot of people wanting hugs back then, but then I thought, well, I guess I should have hugged her. I don't, if I haven't hugged you, I'll be at the door back there, please don't see me 20 years from now and announce to the entire graveside that I never hugged you. But But unless you're contagious. But I, I instead of being upset by it, I thought, well, I'm at a point in my life where I'm more accessible now, and I have worked through a lot of stuff. There was a time. This sounds crazy now, but when the church was really big, and when we first built the first building, our membership doubled in the first year, and there was a explosion of growth that I hardly could keep up with. But then it was also that thing where people would come in and join and then they would leave. And it wasn't just because of us. That was just what was happening in charismatic churches at the time. It was just a lot of rotation. And so I got to where I didn't, we'd have a new members dinner every month, and there'd be a new group of people coming in. And I would think, I don't even want to learn these people's names because there's no point in me getting invested in them, because I take this really seriously. When you said last night, I'm coming tomorrow, I'm like, you better come, because don't tell me you're going to come and don't come, because I notice stuff like that. I hate when people say, I'm on my way, and then you don't show up. Look, if you tell me you're on your way, don't play with me, especially not now. I've been through stuff. I'll come to your house. I'll be standing up front going, you said you were coming. What's up? Yashika took 4 pictures of herself on the way to church today. I was like, you better show up. She says, I'm on my way to see Bishop Jim Swilley. I'm like, you bet. I was looking for you. Like, all right, where are you? And she's here. But I'm saying, I've worked through a lot of stuff. And now when somebody tells me something from people want to apologize for something that happened in 1987. I'm like, I don't think you realize how many people I know. And not only do I not remember you, I couldn't possibly remember whatever our issue was. I mean, I've had some issues with lots of people post you. Maybe you're stuck in there, but it's really it's about to be 2016 for me. I mean, it took me years of calling it Church of the Now before Church of the Now stopped being a church and it really became a reality for me. It became a mindset. I really do live in the now. That's why if you think I got some issue with you from last week, I don't. I probably don't even remember it. And if I do, I don't remember it with any, save your time apologizing, because you're forgiven. And I expect the same from you. Well, I don't like what you said last week. Fine, I'll see you next Sunday. I mean, that's not only covenant, that's called being an adult. And don't you see that comes from our understanding that's how God is? Back in the day when we had such a fragile relationship with God, this person may be streaming, and if you are, don't be offended I'm saying this, but somebody on my fan page this week they got my book, and this is someone who knows they're gay and has been celibate their entire life, and I'm afraid to have a relationship, whatever. And I'm like, I can't tell you to violate your conscience. If you're that afraid, then be single. I don't know what to tell you. I can't. If your concept of God is micromanaging your life that much, that he's that much in your relationships, I can't tell you to go against that. If you're, and this person said, are you afraid of that? I'm like, no, no, I've worked through that. I'm like really fine with God, and God is really fine with me. And this is the outworking of that. The more that relationship becomes real to you, that like this, who can separate me from the love of God? Nothing can. Once that happens, then I really have healthy relationships. I'm like, well, people do stuff. They say stuff that hurt one another. We all do it. I've done it. Sometimes unintentionally. Okay, fine. That's like, even people I have issues with, I still hope that we'll work through it and get to the other side of it. I really do. Paul said, if it be possible, as much as lies in you, live peaceably with all men. That's the power of intention. All right. And then one last thing by this person. Intention is one of the most powerful forces there is. What you mean when you do a thing will always determine the outcome. The law creates the world. That's really interesting. I remember one time we I guess it's back when we were doing the monthly dinners at Church in Midtown, and Roz would come in and decorate everything, and she put a lot of effort into it. And one day I said, I said, I want to thank you. I can tell you went to a lot of trouble. And somebody there corrected me. They said, and it was a valid point. They said, it's not, don't say trouble because that sounds like it was an imposition. And I said, you know what? Point well taken. Don't ever correct me again. But you get one of those. But point well taken. I see you went to a lot of effort. Effort is different than trouble. Trouble is, I'm going to do all this for you and then make you feel miserable about it. That's nobody needs that. Effort is, wow, you went to a lot of effort, and I appreciate it. That means something. Those are two different things. Giving somebody something and then holding it over their head is not. It's gross, and nobody needs that. Nobody should be the recipient of that. Nobody should propagate that. A gift is a gift, and service is service. And what you do for, Paul said to employees, he said, "Do not." The King James says, "Do not do it as for eye service or as men pleasers, knowing that we shall receive the reward of the Lord." I really do believe that's the law of karma. That there's no good deed that you've ever done that somewhere isn't going to work for your benefit. One time I have one parking space afforded to my loft. So I came in one day and somebody had parked in my space, and it was like really a bad time. And I just flown in early morning. I hadn't slept on the plane. I wanted to go and take a nap. So I called the concierge. I said, "Look, there's somebody in my place." And he said, "Do you want me to have him towed?" I said, "No, just see if you can find him, but just can you tell me a place I can park so I can leave my car? Because I'm going to go lay down and take a nap." Okay, fine. So he told me this place where you can park. I said, "Now, you sure you got me? You aren't going to tow me, are you?" No, I got you." So I go, assuming he's telling the truth, go into a wonderful nap, wake up, go out to get my car, and it's not there. Let me tell you where I grew up in Atlanta where this car lot is, and if this is your neighborhood, please don't be offended. But I've been to the ghetto. Like, people from the ghetto are afraid to go. This neighborhood, you get out of your car with your jacket over your head going, "Please don't shoot me as you run." I mean, I'm joking. Really? It's a joke. Anyway, they towed my car. And so the concierge had shifted. They had changed shifts, and then the old guy didn't tell the new guy. I was so furious because I was thinking I'm doing this good deed. I'm on the elevator, and this young guy was on there with me. I said, "Let me ask you something. You ever done a good deed for somebody?" "Yes, sir." "Well, don't, because it's a waste of time. As I give somebody my parking space when I could have had him towed, and then I get towed." It was just making me so angry that, like, of all things, this isn't the way sowing and reaping is supposed to work. And then I realized, I could have had some good karma going, but my bad attitude is destroying anything good I was going to get from it. So now, if anybody, if I find a quarter on the ground, I'm like, it's from that time that I gave that guy my car space. Comes back on every way. I just believe that, like, every good thing that's why if you try to give me something, if you'll notice, if you give me money, I never argue with you. I never go, "Oh no, you should." I'm like, "Thank you," because I've been sowing for a long time. And Jesus said, "Shall people give unto your bosom, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over?" And I haven't even gotten into the 100-fold return yet. So now I'm just like, it's not that I'm being opportunistic, but I'm like, where y'all at? And I think everybody should be that way. Not that you're expecting somebody to do something for you, but you've put a lot of good karma out there. It's supposed to, every time I go to the ocean, I stand there and I'm just amazed at the surf. It just keeps coming. And they say it's the gravitational pull of the moon. How do they know that? But that's just amazing that as far away as the moon is, it's got enough power to lift this water. But what I see is the continuation of it. It just keeps coming. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. Cast your bread upon the water. It'll come back on every wave. That's intention. That's saying, even if I didn't get a thank you from the person that should have thanked me, I will get a thank you from the universe. I will get a thank you from God. None of it's going to be wasted. Nothing that you do for God or for good is ever wasted. And if you don't know that, you'll get bitter about the people that didn't thank you. And then what happens is you cut yourself off, you block the blessings, because now your focus is on they need to thank me, and you're missing God. God may bring a surrogate along who's gonna thank you in a much better way than they could have, because everybody, oh, this is good. Everybody in the universe is connected. So why did Jesus say, whatever you do unto the least of these, you have done unto me? So none of it's wasted, even if the person was too idiotic to realize what a good thing you did for them. That's not what it's about. It's not about just getting the thank you note from them. And I understand, Jesus healed 10 lepers and only one of them came back, and he said, where are the other 9? That's a reasonable thing to want to be appreciated. But you have to always keep that bigger picture going. This is the good intention, is like, I've put a lot of good out there. I have not been perfect, but I do believe, and here's the good part, and I'm going to end on this. For the crappy stuff that I did, surely goodness and mercy are following me all the day of my life, cleaning that one up, doing a little damage control. So I'm not afraid of the bad karma, and the good karma overpowers everything else. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm only being rewarded for the good stuff that I've done, because the bad stuff is in the sea of forgetfulness. He has removed my transgressions from me as far as the east is from the west. So I'm just getting the good stuff. So as far as the universe can tell, I've just lived this wonderful, perfect, loving life, because all this good stuff is happening to me. Well, what about that negative thing that happened? Oh, that one's not finished yet. It looks negative, but all things work together. When you bake a cake, you're going to put eggs and milk and salt and all this. You don't want to eat those things separately. It's all of them working together and being put into some heat, and then it produces something beautiful. So all of it's peace on earth, goodwill to men, and peace to people of goodwill. Set your intention that this is going to be your best Christmas ever. Well, Bishop, I just lost everything. What's your point? I just lost my house. Well, you don't have a house to clean up this year. So good. So there's that. Go to somebody else's house. I'm just, you have to be that radical about it. Say, well, at least I got this. And at least you had today. That was pretty good. Let's all stand. I feel a lot of goodwill in here today. And I want to tell you, and this goes for every single one of you in here, I love you. I appreciate you. When I, like today, when I post, see you in a few, I love, Jackie said, we're on our way. I love when I read that. And then Tony's like, we're coming from North Georgia. They're making and he's not kidding. They live a long way away. I never take it for granted. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you all. And I'm going to try to hug you all today so that you won't. So when I'm doing your grandmother's funeral, you won't be like, I went to Metron, you never hugged me. I'm going to hug some people today. But if I don't hug you, I'm hugging you in my heart. Let me run this, and then I'll speak a blessing over. Did you get anything out of this today? Of course you did. Turn to the person next to you and say, I have goodwill toward you.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. Simply text the amount you would like to give to 404-620-5044. And now you can give anytime by texting this number. You will then receive a one-time registration form that links your phone number and opens your account at SimpleGive. Complete the form, and you will then receive a successful registration and donation page. For additional information on your account, visit bishandthenow.com and click the Support tab. Then, My Online Donation. When you contribute to Metron, you're also supporting the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment in Metron.
If you're making a check, make it to JESM, and Danny will be back there to take that. And if you have cash, just pay it forward. Just go bless somebody and help them out a little bit. Don't forget how many of you are coming Wednesday? Look at that. Oh, it's going to be such a good party. So don't forget, if you haven't signed up, we have to have it by midnight tonight, so the caterers will know it exact. Let me tell you, the street I couldn't think of, was it Ponce de Leon Place? It's on the corner of Ponce and Ponce de Leon Place. Okay, like if you're coming, it's called Paris on Ponce. Their front actually at this point still faces Ponce de Leon Place. Okay, so like if you're coming west on Ponce, you would take a right. There's like on your left is a Kroger over here, and there's a Chipotle right there, and right over there is Ponce City Market. You take a right, you pull into the parking lot, and there will be a valet there. We've already covered your valet. You just need to give them a couple of bucks when you retrieve your car. But they're gonna, and your car is gonna be a safe place. So you're gonna thank me. If this is gonna be so much easier than you trying to find a place to park somewhere around there. So you drop your car off. You walk into Paris on Ponce. First, when you walk in, you'll be in a art studio, and I have no idea what's going on in there now, but it's cool. And then you'll walk through. It's not an antique store. It's like it's like a bazaar. It's like all these different vendors that have really cool stuff. Some of it's vintage stuff, some of it's woodworking stuff. It's really, really cool. So you walk through there, then at a certain point you'll smell the food. You'll go, oh, I smell food. And you'll go and then you walk into this red velvet room called Maison Rouge, and there'll be stuff set up, and you have a great time, and the food's going to be there. And Jonah's setting me up a keyboard, and I'm going to sing, and we're going to do and we're going to have candles. We're going to do a little candlelight service. We're going to take pictures. It's going to be great. All right. And then when you're through, we're going to cut you off at a certain time, because the George Bailey drink is a little potent. So you can't just drink one and get in the car. We're going to breathalyze you. But at a certain point, you'll get your car. It's going to be great. We've got the place from 7:30 to 11:30. Is that what we have? 7 to 12. All right. So party on down. And they're going to have the door open so you can walk out on the belt line. And if the weather's like this, it's going to be fine to go out. And if you want to walk over to Paris on Ponce City Market and see that, I'm sure I'll do a little. You know me, I'm going to tell you a little Atlanta history, so I'll probably walk out there with you and tell you some stuff. So anyway, it's going to be really, 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 really cool. We're in agreement that Fro's surgery goes well tomorrow. We declare the end from the beginning. I'm ready to see him well and restored. I know y'all are. So with every bit of energy and faith that we have, we speak the word to him and to that surgeon, that everything happens exactly as it's supposed to. Speak a special blessing over Jackie on her birthday. And a blessing over your day. Good night's sleep tonight. Good stuff is happening to you this week. You live in peace. You're smart. You're beautiful. You're intelligent. You're attractive. Good things are coming to you as you bind mercy and truth about your neck. He gives you favor with God and man. And you wake up tomorrow saying, this is the day that the Lord has enabled me to make. I have a good intention to live in peace on earth. I love you.